Welcome to the God Exile. Do you wish to wield a lightsaber like the absolute lunatic you are while freezing everything in your wake? Perhaps you seek to be tanky while being a pantless old man? Maybe you just want a new build but can't seem to make up your mind? Then clear your worries as the cold-hearted lightsaber freezing pulse cast on crit Inquisitor is here. Since the release of Scourge League, Energy Blade came about as a new skill and immediately piqued my interest. I mean, who doesn't want to wield a lightsaber? If that's not badass, then I don't know what is. I have kept my eye on it to find a way to maximize the damage output while sacrificing our energy shield. What Energy Blade does is halves your total energy shield pool and transfers it into a powerful flat lightning damage weapon based on 40% of your total energy shield. This weapon also has base stats of 7.7% crit and 1.7 attacks per second. With this being said, the idea of the build is to take advantage of this weapon via the Inquisitor's Ascendency for Battle Mage by using Cyclone and cast on Critical Strike to trigger Freezing Pulse, which delivers amazing damage output. From this we are able to have satisfying clear speed, not to mention achieve some hefty defensive, inevitably allowing you to do more content comfortably. This build is also very unique in the fact that it can be played with Frostbolt or even Arc without any thorough changes to the build, resulting in a choice of 3 different playstyles. Are you intrigued by this build? Then smack that subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified on my build guides and build updates are released to stay updated on my latest videos. Don't forget to like and share the video in favor of reaching more exiles. If you are watching this build guide after patch 3.16 Scourge League and the title's patch number has been advanced, be sure to check the description down below and pin comment for changes or updates on the build. Please note that the viability of the build is subject to change as some items, mechanics, or skill selections may change in between patches. With this being said, the build can differ from the video, so let's check it out. Surprisingly, this build is cheap to start off and can be done on a small budget with a fair amount of adjustments. It speeds through all of the acts into maps while you can truly feel the build become more powerful as you gear and level up. Once you have the bare minimum uniques, it will deliver around 3 to 5 million Cyrus DPS all the way up to 10 million Cyrus DPS. We also make use of 8 auras to boost our defenses by a huge margin. So how do we achieve all of this? Offensively, as we are stacking up intelligence and strength, the Inquisitor's Ascendency supplies us with our much needed critical strike chance, which allows us to ignore getting any elemental penetration as well due to our critical strikes ignoring the monster's elemental resistances. To make this even more potent, we make use of Battle Mage, which transfers the flat damage we gain from Energy Blade to spell damage, further boosting our damage by a large margin. We then pair this with Freezing Pulse, Critical Strike Multiplier, Onslaught, our first Snow Cobalt Jewels, and our split personalities. But wait, there's more as we abuse Shaper's Touch to get much needed accuracy rating and precision due to the Templar not having access to much accuracy rating to have 100% uptime on our Cyclone hitting enemies. To top it all off, we have a large pool of energy shield to feed Energy Blade into giving us a weapon that has well over 3,500 lightning damage, which easily doubles if not triples our damage. For even more damage, we use Pain Attunement paired with Arcane Surge for the extra spell damage and Critical Mastery, giving us +3 to level of all of our critical support gems. Defensively, the build makes this old man really beefy and ensures a stress-free playstyle. To make this possible, we get as much armor and evasion rating by making use of determination for a huge increase in armor and grace, paired with Shaper's Touch supplying our only form of evasion rating, as well as Defiance Banner to further boost them, allowing us to reach over 75% evade chance and 80% physical mitigation. Added onto this, Purity of Elements is utilized to help cap our resistances with immunity to shock, freeze, and ignite. As the build is vulnerable to chaos damage, we of course max out our chaos resistance paired with a coruscating elixir and an ivory tower body armor to prevent any chaos damage from one-shotting us. Because we reserve our entire life pool to gain energy shield thanks to the ivory tower. With all this taken into account, we achieve a huge energy shield pool of over 9,000 by stacking up energy shield gains via gear, the skill tree, our discipline aura, Ghost Dance stacks, and a Watcher's Eye jewel. Topping this all off for even more defense, I utilize Sandstance for the blind, Vol Molten Shell giving us even more mitigation, a Sigil of Power for the 19% less damage taken on bosses, and lastly our Ascendency that makes us take 8% less elemental damage. The playstyle with cast on crit is very straightforward. You simply piano your flasks on the first pack and cyclone away to leave nothing but cold-hearted destruction in your wake. Don't forget to use Flame Dash in between packs and your Vol Molten Shell when things get extra spicy. When bossing, you will want to make sure that you understand the mechanics to avoid typical one-shots, otherwise it's just cycloning in circles over and over until the boss is dead. Be aware though that bosses who deal chaos damage will instantly kill you if you do not have your coruscating elixir flask up, so I suggest you bring an extra 1 or maybe even 2 flasks as an extra backup depending on how comfortable you are. Remember, Vol Molten Shell can still be used for those sketchy moments during mechanics as a panic button and last resort to avoid death. For our pros, the build pops off with 10 million Cyrus DPS within a reasonable 20 Exalt budget. It's a 2-in-1 build as it does mapping and bossing. Delivers some decent satisfying clear speed that is absolutely beautiful. Has many forms of damage mitigation to make us extra beefy. It's an awesome relaxed playstyle watching everything just die and no flask pianoing or button intensive tasks are required. For our cons. It's a cast and crit playstyle and it's not desired by everyone. Not the fastest old man and are prone to die from taking chaos damage if our coruscating elixir is not up and we are out of mana, so it can feel clunky sometimes. We cannot do any form of elemental reflection. For our class and Ascendency, we are the Templar's Inquisitor and take the following lab nodes. Righteous Providence. This is where we gain all of our critical strike chance as it gives 1% critical strike chance per point of strength or intelligence, whichever is lowest. That scales well over 1000 as we have 1000 plus strength and intelligence. The 50 flat strength and intelligence are a big bonus here too. Inevitable Judgment. All critical strikes we deal ignore the enemy's resistances, freeing us from having to stack up elemental penetration, and non-critical strikes gain 10% elemental penetration too. Instruments of Virtue. We make use of this node for Battle Mage, giving us added spell damage equal to the damage of your main hand weapon, which we have lots of thanks to Energy Blade giving us a huge flat damage weapon. Augury of Penitence. All enemies which are nearby will take 16% increased elemental damage and they will also deal 8% less elemental damage to you. In the path of building is leveling trees, a budget setup and the endgame setup, which is down below in the description. However, we grab the following keystones and masteries in the tree. Iron Will, the bonus damage that strength gives also applies to all spell damage for us as well. Pain Attunement, we gain 30% more spell damage as we reserve all of our life with auras. Ghost Dance, we are unable to recover energy shield to above evasion rating, but we get up to 3 ghost shrouds, which when hit we lose a shroud and recover energy shield equal to 3% of our evasion rating. In terms of our masteries, we make use of flat and maximum life, life preservation efficiency, increased attributes, energy shield mastery for light radius, extra energy shield, and lastly critical mastery for the extra +3 to level of all critical support gems. Looking at our major pantheon, we take Soul of the Brine King. This is to help avoid chain stuns, as we are required to cyclone the whole time, and being stunned stops us from dishing out any of our damage. For the mana, Soul of Ugul, we have a 50% chance to reflect hexes, but mostly to reduce the effect of curses on us by a further 30%. In terms of our bandits, you will want to kill all bandits for the 2 skill points. For your gems, they do not have to be alternate quality. All that they do is give some quality of life to the build in terms of defense and damage. In your body armor, you will want to socket in Divergent Cyclone for the extra 5% more movement speed. Cyclone is used to trigger our freezing pulses in quick succession thanks to its fast attack speed, and is very reliable as we have a 100% hit rate. We pair this with Awaken Cast on Critical Strike, providing us with more spell damage and extra critical strike chance. But the Awakened version is the best upgrade for the build you can do due to it giving increased cooldown recovery rate. We are able to saber out extra pulses and deal even more damage quicker. Anomalous Inspiration for even more critical strike chance, but more importantly the more spell damage, and to reduce the cost of each freezing pulse trigger along Cyclone itself, giving us more sustain. The fourth link is Freezing Pulse itself as our main damage dealer that has to be 20% quality as soon as possible. Our fifth link is Increased Critical Damage for the extra critical strike multiplier to compensate for the build's lack of critical strike multiplier. The last link is Energy Leech, which provides us with more damage and a decent amount of sustain to not rely on energy shield recharge too much. In your helmet, Vortex is used to chill enemies linked to Cutting Strike, instantly killing any enemies in it with 10% or less life. Arcane Surge must be your third link for even more spell damage and extra mana regeneration. The last socket is where our Energy Blade goes. The gloves have Vol Molten Shell linked to an anomalous cast when damage taken for the extra duration on the skills that are triggered. Sniper's Mark and Anomalous Sigil of Power for the -1 to maximum stages. Molten Shell is an extra defensive layer when needed, and so is Sigil of Power, which makes enemies deal 19% less damage to you while they are in it. Sniper's Mark is utilized for the extra projectile damage boost on bossing, however you can unlink it to manually cast. Our boots are where we socket in Flame Dash as a means of getting out of dangerous situations and speed up our clearing. Anomalous Defiance Banner, which gives us a massive boost in armor and evasion rating, alongside Anomalous Flesh and Stone for the Sandstance, making us take 11% less damage from attacks that aren't inside the aura, but more so to blind all enemies, which is really effective thanks to our large amount of evasion rating. Discipline in the last socket to provide us with an even larger pool of energy shield, damage, and some extra defense. We have to reserve as much life as possible, so in the weapon we socket in Clarity and Precision linked to Arrogance so that they reserve life instead of mana. Clarity gives a large amount of mana regeneration that's necessary to keep our mana pool topped up, while Precision makes up for our lack of flat accuracy rating and goes well with our Shaper's Touch gloves % accuracy gain. Further reserving our life in the shield, we socket in Grace for the insane amount of evasion rating and Divergent Determination for armor, making us have a high chance to evade attacks paired with Blind, but also to take less damage from physical hits as our mitigation is well over 70%. Anomalous Purity of Elements for the increased effect of gaining all elemental resistances, and the best part of this is that it makes us immune to all elemental ailments. Our body armor is the Ivory Tower, providing us with a massive amount of energy shield, as for every 100 points of life you have reserved you will gain 30 energy shield, meaning that if you have 7000 life you will gain up to 2100 extra flat energy shield. You also gain a chunk of flat intelligence, mana, and 2% energy shield regeneration, along with the second best thing about this body armor, which is chaos damage is taken from mana before life. This allows you to ignore chaos damage from one-shotting you, as we do not reserve our entire mana pool. Please note that this goes in conjunction with the coruscating elixir flask, but more on that later. When looking for corruptions, any level increase to socketed gems and supports is very powerful, so long as they affect the socketed gem tags. For the helmet, Crown of the Inward Eye is best in slot, giving us 21% increased maximum life, mana, and global energy shield, meaning more damage and survivability. You also gain the 3 transfiguration benefits, whereby increases and reductions to maximum energy shield, maximum life, and maximum mana also applies to spell damage, attack damage, and flat damage, which gives us even more damage. In terms of the lab enchant, you'll want 40% increased freezing pulse damage. As we are stacking up our attributes, the only choice for gloves is Shaper's Touch, giving us our much needed extra accuracy rating, as we get 4 accuracy rating per 2 intelligence to achieve 100% hit chance on Cyclone. We also gain a little extra life from getting 1 extra life per 4 dexterity and almost 300 mana from 1 mana per 4 strength. To top this off, we get 110% increased energy shield from 1% increased energy shield per 10 strength, which we have over 1100 of. And 220% increased evasion rating from 2% increased evasion rating per 10 intelligence, of which we also have over 1100 of. Any corrupted implicits such as increased maximum energy shield and others will do just fine here too. Moving on to your boots. Any rare pair that has got flat strength, intelligence, or mana is the go-to, but of course you will also need movement speed to be more speedy and less old man-ish. Any resistances that you are missing can be replaced here with any life. Just be aware that these boots can get pricey, so I suggest getting a pair without mana if you cannot afford them. In terms of the lab enchants, I went for the 16% increased attack and cast speed if you've killed recently. However, you can choose any you see fit, just don't use penetration, as our Ascendency takes care of that for you. Next is the weapon. Being Energy Blade becomes our primary weapon due to it consuming whatever weapon you have equipped. The base stats of this weapon is really powerful, giving 7.7% critical strike chance and 1.7 attacks per second, which are hidden in game, so I have this weapon I made in Path of Building to give you an idea of what you gain from Energy Blade itself when you use it. Your goal should be to reach over 3,500 flat lightning damage on the weapon in game. For your shield, Prism Guardian is amazing for the socketed gems reserve life instead of mana with 30% reservation efficiency, which synergizes well with our body armor as the auras will only reserve your life. Additionally, it gives +2 to levels to our socketed aura gems as well as much needed resistances and some extra dexterity. For corruptions, you'll want any modifiers which increase the gem levels. To round off our missing dexterity and huge boost in attributes, an Archnemesis amulet will get the job done from early leveling all the way until end game. However, if you want an upgrade, Eyes of the Great Wolf with the implicit modifiers, % increased attributes and increased global defenses is the best, but at the sacrifice of dexterity. The rings are rare amethyst bases for the extra chaos resistance to be capped, which is important. You must look for ones that have high strength and intelligence rolls to bump up your attributes to above 1000, along with any maximum mana, maximum life, resistances, or extra chaos resistance instead of strength or intelligence. Lastly is Cyclopean Coil, as the belt gives us 18% increased attributes, further increasing our critical strike chance and survivability from all of our gear, which benefits from attributes. We also gain over 100 extra maximum life and up to 40% increased damage with 200 dexterity, but the rest of the modifiers are irrelevant due to us running Purity of Elements. We are already immune to all ailments. A rare upgrade can be double % implicit strength and intelligence with high rolls on life, energy shield, mana, or resistances. Looking at our jewels, first Snow Cobalt Jewel, having 2 of these where one is socketed in between Devotion and Faith and Steel. The second, next to Instability, gives our Freezing Pulse an extra 5 projectiles. Plus, we also gain 50% increased damage while mapping because we are continuously shattering enemies. The corrupted implicits you must have are corrupted blood cannot be inflicted on you and % chance to avoid being stunned. 2 split personalities. You can use any variants of this jewel that give either life, mana, or energy shield. However, the most optimal will be ones which give strength and intelligence. As the jewel gains 25% increased effect per passive skill point allocated between the socket and Templar starting point, we are able to stack up 169 extra strength and intelligence. To achieve this, the first jewel must be socketed next to Melding and the other socketed between Infused and Frenetic. Your rare jewels should consist of % increased maximum energy shield, % increased maximum life, any missing resistances, and attributes. If you choose to use another skill and drop first snow cobalt jewels, then any critical strike multipliers will serve well in their place. A Watcher's Eye is a godsend for this build with a % to chaos resistance while affected by purity of elements, which allows you to get more attributes on your rings. The gain % of maximum mana as extra maximum energy shield while affected by clarity gives us even more energy shield, meaning extra damage and survivability. This jewel and affixes are not a must have, however, it makes putting the build together a lot easier. Moving on to our flasks. A coruscating elixir. We make use of this flask to prevent any chaos damage from touching our life while the flask's effect is up, and is the only means of not dying from chaos damage taken, so you must make sure to keep it up all the time. However, for bosses that deal chaos damage, I would suggest using 2 or even 3 of them during the fight, depending on how familiar you are with the mechanics. A Rotgut Quicksilver Flask. To make us more of a speedy boy for a longer duration, but you can replace it with a normal Quicksilver. I just felt it went well in hand on bosses. A Sulfur Flask of the Curlew for the extra increased damage, concentrated ground reducing curse effect, and giving some extra regeneration. A Granite Flask of the Skunk gives a chunk of extra armor, and immunity to poison is a must to prevent poisons from stacking on us. A Silver Flask of the Lizard, our only means of gaining Onslaught for the build, but can have any suffix you wish to choose. I use bleed removal to make mapping smoother for myself. Please do note that using Instilling Orbs on all of the flasks for the implicit used when charges reach full allows you to have a comfortable mapping or bossing experience without pianoing. For leveling reference, check the description for my update videos to see how I leveled the build and my progress, but it's not the best or fastest way to level, it's just more fun as you are able to start the build off from as early as level 38 with your first lab run. To make your leveling experience smoother, I recommend the following uniques and gems. From levels 1 to 10, you must use a Goldrim, a Tabula Rasa, Loctanior Caresses, Wanderlust, a Virum's Malt, Pirandus Signets, Axiom Perpetuums. From levels 18 to 34 and beyond, you must use an Astromentus, Belt of the Deceiver, Dusk Toe Boots, Berek's Grip, Tessalio's Sign, Shadows and Dusk Gloves, a Bitter Dream weapon from 32 until 38, a Thief's Torment from 38, Mortem Morsu, and a Centauri's Answer. With your gems, levels 1 to 4 you must use Freezing Pulse linked to Arcane Surge and Onslaught. From level 4 you can pick up Holy Flame Totem and link it with Freezing Pulse, added lightning damage, added cold damage, increased critical strikes, and Onslaught. Don't forget to use Frostbomb too. From level 10 you will get your Flame Dash, which you link to Arcane Surge level 1 and your Clarity as well. Once you are level 12, you must drop Freezing Pulse for Stormbrand and Holy Flame Totem linked to faster casting, added lightning damage, controlled destruction, and an Onslaught. Once you are level 18, you can pick up your second aura, which is Herald of Thunder. Once you hit level 24, then you can use your third aura, which is Purity of Elements, for the extra elemental resistances it provides us with. Once you are level 28, you must use Vortex linked to Arcane Surge and Culling Strike on your left click button. At level 32, we replace Holy Flame Totem with Vortex to be linked with Arcane Surge, Culling Strike, added lightning damage, controlled destruction, and Onslaught. Now, for your main damage dealer, you will use Stormbrand linked to increase critical strikes and faster casting, socketed into a Bitter Dream weapon for the extra supports to carry you up to level 38. Once you hit level 38 and have done your first lab run to allocate Righteous Providence, you can switch over to the build by referring to the gems section of the guide to begin shattering your way through the rest of the campaign into maps. Remember to make use of the skill tree, gem swaps, or even gear changes however you see fit once you have all of the necessary gear to use Energy Blade effectively. Overall, the lightsaber wielding old man took me by surprise while going through the campaign, especially once I was able to equip all of the uniques. It became clear that Energy Blade was not to be slept on. The build can be a league starter without doubt, but will have to endure some struggles. However, it's well worth what it is capable of considering we sacrifice half of our energy shield pool. Once I was able to afford an Awaken cast on Critical Strike, the build felt incredibly smooth and way more reliable, especially on bossing where damage seemed to fall off with the non-Awakened version. It's amazing how powerful cooldown recovery really is for the build. This build reminds me of my Aura Monster I made in 3.15 that just took off right from the start and scaled really well with many options or paths to be chosen from. In conclusion, I'm very satisfied with the build on the way things turned out and couldn't be happier to share it with my fellow exiles. If you found this guide helpful or the next new build you will play, then smack that like button and subscribe, for I have many more builds planned with updates in between. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, Exile.